Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Sessions with Kat. I am so sorry it took so long to upload this fucking video. I have been trying to record for weeks and the weather gets in the way, people interrupting me gets in the way, especially when I'm trying to record outside. So I finally am in a good space where I can record and, have some peace and quiet and get this video out to you guys. So as promised, this is the second deck of that set where I did the last video, which was Wisdom of the Divine Feminine. This is Wisdom of the Shadow. Just a side note, this is a sort of a review, and also we shoot the shit because that's what we do. But as part of this review, I do want to say, these ladies did beautiful job on both decks. I just wish they did a Wisdom of the Divine Masculine. That would really complete the whole thing for me, because the feminine side is more like your mental, emotional. The masculine side is where you put shit into action. And I'd like to see that fully come together. The shadow side is just kind of exposing what needs to be worked on. The masculine side, I feel like that's what's missing in this set. So I wish they'd come out with a third one, but who knows? I can always recommend it. See what they have to say. I think they should do it. And also, as a side note, when you are choosing decks for yourself, whether it be Oracle, Tarot, whatever, make sure the deck feels balanced for you, right? And by that I mean it should be feminine, masculine, and everything in between. That is what the balance is all about. That being said, let's get to it. All right, so I did send out the latest newsletter yesterday, early in the morning. So if you're on the list, you got it, right? And this is the inside cover for the shadow one. And I'm gonna apologize for the weird humming in the background. That is the AC unit, which is right outside my fucking window. So hopefully it doesn't get any louder. I pray it doesn't anyway. This is the book. Now, if you know me, you know I don't use the book, but this is meaty, like the Divine Feminine one. So I recommend that if you do like using the book, go ahead and use it. And then this is the backs of the cards, which is, I love it. Don't get me wrong, I like shiny cards, but I don't when there's a particular light around, because it's nothing but a fucking glare on it. And I like these because there's no glare. There's no deep glare. I can get the cards out. There's no glare, right? So I like these for that reason. I love this gilding. Absolutely love it, right? Well, you can tell that it's gonna chip easy, which is fine. I don't really give two shits, because I use my cards. As long as the card itself does not get fully damaged, I don't care. This has the magnetic clasp, and then that's the back. And then the two young ladies who produce these decks. Now into the cards. And shooting the shit, because that's what we do. Now, I could talk about shadow work. I can also talk about mindfulness. I can talk about a million things, but today Spirit wants me to talk about self-care, okay? And I think that involves mindfulness. I think that involves shadow work as well, right? Because self-care is really all about this. It's all about coming back to that balance, that feeling of wholeness, if that makes sense, like inner wellness, that kind of thing. What exactly is self-care? It is anything that promotes the concept of being present. I hope that makes sense. So it's not necessarily, oh, I'm gonna take a hot bath, right? Or, oh, I'm gonna buy myself this dress or whatever. It's not necessarily doing those outward things. It's also the inward things. It's also doing for others. Because sometimes when we give back, that's also a way of practicing self-care, right? So how do you practice self-care? And I'm interested. Please comment below, right? For those of you who watch this video and get to this point, how do you practice self-care? In a full way. Not just saying like, oh, I got my hair done. Oh, I got my nails done, which obviously I need to do because that's part of my self-care practice. How do you practice self-care for you? How do you practice being mindful of your feelings, your emotions, your overall sense of well-being, right? Because nowadays, this is difficult to do with so much going on in this world, right? It is a whole ass difficult to do, but it is doable. And if this needs to be a reminder for you to practice self-care, then you do that, right? You've all been working hard, right? And you deserve to kind of pamper yourself in a way that kind of, you know, release some of that stress, release some of that heaviness that you've been walking around with because you've been all uptight because you're trying to get things done and accomplish this and do that. I'd like to see you guys like come to center, come back to present. I love this because it feels like she's underwater. And doubt can have you feeling like that, right? Doubt can have you totally feeling like you are drowning, right? And sometimes it can make you feel like you're a fish out of water. I guess that'd be vice versa too, right? I don't think these cards really read reverse, because when you're working with the shadow, nothing's really reversed. It just is. So I would keep that in mind when you're working with any type of shadow type of deck. It just is. There's no reverse to it. Like if it's shadow work, it just is, if that makes sense. But yeah, you know, how do you take time out of your month, out of your week, out of your day to bring yourself back to the present moment, right? Because a lot of times we run around and we end up feeling this way, right? We end up feeling empty, and we need to kind of find our way back to feeling like ourselves again, feeling authentic, feeling whole, feeling beautiful, if that makes sense, right? So how do you do that, right? And you can use your cards to help you, right? Not necessarily this deck. If you have this deck, hey, I'm pretty sure you love it. This deck also works, it pairs really well with tarot cards, and I've been using this tarot deck right here with it, the Healing Light Tarot, mainly because it is a lots of shadows in this deck. So this deck helps bring out the shadows in that deck to like really like help me pinpoint areas within myself, because I'm using this for myself, where I need to work on shit, if that makes sense. Yesterday I got Rage, and you'll see that card coming up. And in this deck, I got the Death card. And I was like, on it, because I knew Spirit was yelling at me, right? So I just love that there's no real fucking glare on this. It's great. How are you practicing mindfulness and healing and whatnot throughout the week, throughout the day? That is big time key for everything, right? I love this. It's like a little gremlin, you know, my mind. But a lot of this comes when you feel like you're not able to have time alone or spend money on yourself or enjoy your life and things of that nature. The greed will pop up in that way, right? But I love these cards. I love the feel of them. I feel like they'll be a good shuffle. Now, if you have an aversion, I probably should have said this in the beginning, to certain images, don't continue with this because the cards get kind of, I like it, but they get kind of, you know, wacky as you go on. I even have some tarot decks like that. So like I'll warn you in the beginning if it has wacky cards. Like this is not the craziest card I've seen in this deck, because I've tried to record this video many times. But then I just started using the cards, and then I had to put them back in order, and boom, here we are. But you guys needed to see this. You guys needed to see this. But yeah, that's really all that Spirit wanted me to bring up was, how do you practice self-care and mindfulness for yourself? How do you find your way home within yourself without completely detaching from your present moment, if that makes sense, or present situation, right? Because a lot of times we forfeit ourselves in the midst of situations because that's all we know to do. We know to push ourselves aside, push it down, and then go on and move forward and shit. But how do you come back to center? Because now you walking around with that shit just sitting in you, right? That energy just whole ass balled up inside of you. How do you come out of that, right? How do you release it? How do you, give birth to it so you can let it go, right? And that's part of self-care. That's part of self-awareness, of mindfulness, of inner wellness. It's all a part of it. It's all a part of it. So I urge you to, practice self-care, practice that type of peace and whatnot for yourself, so that you can be better, not just for yourself, but for the environment of which you are always in, right? Because when we are better, our environments become better. And the people around us tend to come better, even if that means they have to go, right? So like I said, if you have an aversion to certain imagery, this deck ain't for you, okay? Because I know some shit like this freak people out. So if you're not ready to see it, just go on and fast forward through. This is the card I got yesterday. And I know where this stems from, right? Because you guys know I've been handling my grief journey, but within that, I've also been handling some trauma stuff, especially since I've been around my mother, right? And my mother wound has always been something that I need to work on. So this came out along with the death card, and I was like, okay, noted, we're gonna work on that. One thing I like to note, these cards are thick, a little bit thicker than the Divine Feminine one. I didn't realize that. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I keep doing this because I keep thinking that there's two cards. So they're kind of on the thick side. So if you do end up with this deck, or even the Divine Feminine one, the cards are on the thick side, but they're still easy to shuffle, right? And they're not as bendable as some flimsy cards that I've used in my lifetime. Okay. Another way too, so I'm going to give you guys a couple tools as well, because they keep showing a smudge stick. And I don't know if it's because my cup says sage that shit. Okay, don't judge me, judge your mama. Okay, I would gladly drink from that cup in front of people because I don't care. But they keep showing a smudge stick. So a lot of people will use sage or some form of smudging to clear their space, to clear their like tools and clear items and whatnot. Are you clearing yourself? Right? So whenever I smudge my home, regardless of what I'm using to smudge, as long as that smudge involves, so the art of smudging should involve some sort of smoke. You want to, let me rephrase that, I always smudge myself in the midst of smudging my home or smudging any of my tools like my decks and stuff. And here's why. I need to be cleansed too. Because, you know, if you're in an area where it's toxic and then you smudge it and the area feels better, but you still feel kind of a little weighed down, bitch, smudge yourself. Okay? And if you know me, that was something I used to just tell people randomly. Like, if they come at me wrong, I'd be like, go smudge yourself. Because, truth be told, we forget that. We forget that that is a part of self-care. Is learning to cleanse ourselves and heal and do better for ourselves, right? So that we can clear too. Nothing like being full of shit and you smudge your space and then you still feel like you're full of shit because you ain't clear shit, right? So learn to smudge yourself, right? Or take a spiritual bath, or shower if you don't have a bathtub. Learning to, bless your water before you drink it, if that makes sense. Learning to, just do little things that help promote a better energy going in so that the more heavier energy does not have a space to sit in, if that makes sense. I hope that made sense. It makes sense to me. I'm sure it makes sense to somebody. So that's that. That's what Spirit wanted me to say. Now I'm going to give you guys a few little updates. I do have some classes coming up. I'm going to start listing them at around July 25th or something. I put it in my newsletter, but it's like July 25th. I'm going to start listing them. The classes will start in August. They will be via Zoom. See what I mean? Like, this shit's thick, yo. And that's fine. They will be held via Zoom. It'll just be easier and also easier on the pocket. That way Spirit has been on me, because with inflation and other shit, I try not to make things too expensive because life is expensive right now. And until things can get to a good normal, why the hell would I hold my prices high like that? And Spirit told me to drop them, so I dropped the prices of some things. And if you haven't noticed, well, it's on you. But I have dropped the prices of some things. So that's what's coming, is the classes. I'm also in the midst of finishing up my ebook. Okay, if you are interested in receiving a copy of that once it's finished, let me know. I put some work into this, and a lot of it comes from, just having the space and time to write and to connect with myself and Spirit. So if you're interested in it, let me know, and I'll keep you on the list, so that when it comes out, you'll know. You will know. So I like this, right? I'm gonna leave this card here, and pull out the other one that I like that goes with it, in my mind anyway. The other things that are coming up, I'm gonna be posting more, now that I fully understand the route that Spirit wants me to go in. These two. It's like inner and outer, right? If this is more inner, this is more learning to be at peace with the outer. This is more being at peace inward. So I like that. I do. But anywho, that's what that is. I ain't gonna hold y'all much longer because I don't like doing long videos anyway. That being said, again, remember to like, share, and comment. Let me know how you practice your form of self-care in the comments. Also, stay hydrated. Make sure you're eating. Make sure you're living your best life in whatever capacity that you are able to do that. And just be you, right? That's all we can ask of you, is for you to be you. Anybody ask you to be anything else, you tell them I said they can fuck off, right? Because you are meant to be you, and that's it, right? That being said, I wish you all a very beautiful day and the brightest of blessings.